NBC Network Television premiere.
Get base on the radio. Tell them we picked up the floater as reported. Drifted ashore about a half a mile southwest of the Summer White House. Okay, Chief. Wait a minute.
Mr. Press Secretary.
Good morning.
Oh, no.
Hey, Culligan. Good morning. Culligan.
Hey, Culligan, what's the story on the VTO fighter budget?
It was a typo.
How can you make a $900 million typo?
It isn't easy. Good morning. Oh, come on, Paul. I can't have a heart, will you? The ground rules are exactly the same as if Barney were running the shop. Now clear out till the morning briefing.
I'll get back to you.
Morning, Jill. Paul's get here?
On your desk. Where have you been, anyway?
Got hung up. Anything happen?
Anything happen, he says. Okay, where's the message, Liz? Hi, Dave.
You still here?
How's Barney?
Not bad for a man with a coronary. The doctor said I'll have to take it easy for a long time, though.
Does that mean your appointment is permanent?
When the president decides to appoint a permanent press secretary, he'll tell me, I'll tell you.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about it if I were you, Culligan. Come November, you'll all be looking for new jobs.
Beat it, Pollock.
Where would I be if I were... Here we are. General Stack at the Pentagon. He's a little upset. And Scotty Reston's office. Leonard Carey. William Buckley. And somebody from Newsweek wanted... green phone, Culligan.
Mr. President?
Come in here, will you, Gene? And you might just bring along the latest polls. Is there anywhere within reach?
Our Chinese document experts have certified the card as authentic. His name was Po Ling. His rank was equivalent to our torpedo man, second class.
Well, isn't it possible you people are making too much out of this?
There's something else you ought to know, Mr. President.
All right, go ahead.
It's highly classified, sir. I know Mr. Greer's position, of course, but officially, I'm not sure that I...
Mr. McCann, Arnold Greer is my closest personal advisor. The only reason he hasn't got an official position is that he won't take one. Besides which, he's been cleared top secret for the past 3.5 years. Am I coming through?
Loud and clear, Mr. President. The Coast Guard tells us that the Chinese sailor's body wouldn't have drifted ashore. Couldn't have, according to the set of the current, unless the vessel he came from was well within our 3-mile limit. We believe that one of the new Chinese atomic-powered submarines is stationed in our North Atlantic waters.
Mr. McCann, why do you think a Chinese submarine would be lying off the summer White House?
It's a good question, Mr. President. And until we can come up with an answer, it might be a good idea to stay clear of Sea Island.
Yes?
It's Gene Culligan, Mr. President.
Send him in.
We're running a crash estimate on this. As soon as we get some kind of readout, Mr. Ingram will let you know.
Fine, thank you.
Here are the latest polls, Mr. President. Not that they mean a thing this early. Arnie?
That bad, huh? Oh, Gene, this is Nick McCann, Central Intelligence. Gene Culligan.
I'll be on my way, Mr. President. Mr. Greer, Mr. Culligan.
Give Arthur my best.
Yes, sir. And I'm sure Mr. Ingram sends you his warmest regards, too.
I'll bet he does. Well, our loyal opposition is beating our brains out in the Middle West. Yes?
The delegation from Pakistan is here, Mr. President.
Oh, yes. Well, see that they're comfortable in the cabinet room for about 5 minutes. And bring me the breakdown on that wheat proposal.
Yes, sir.
I've reworked the Howard University speech, sir.
Okay. Well, what have the boys got on their minds today?
Times wants a statement on oil depletion.
Let Stan Wolcott field that when I'm on record.
Kate McGinnis is trying to get a reaction to the latest polls.
What polls? Anything else?
They're yelling about the itinerary for New Orleans, and Dave Pollock caught that goof on the fighter budget. Mea culpa.
Anybody could make a mistake. I've made a couple myself.
When he was young, of course.
Pakistanis are in the cabinet room, Mr. President. Here is the wheat proposal.
Oh, thank you. Gene, I think that... My God, is that me? If I don't take off 10 pounds, I'm gonna have to concede the election. That's very good, Gene. Have him put it on the speech typewriter. Arnie, I'll call you tonight.
Here.
Oh, thanks, Arnie.
Gene, we have to have a session.
Oh, what?
Something's come up. You okay for tomorrow?
Yeah, fine. Where, your office?
I'm not going in for a week or so. Vacation. Why don't you come out to the house? Come for lunch. I'll have Sue do something about salad.
Right.
Miss Lally,
Yes, sir.
take a memo to the chef. Your beloved but portly president is on a diet until further notice.
Very tasty.
It ought to be. You know what fresh shrimp costs today?
Who's talking about the salad?
Oh.
Nice, isn't it? Huh?
What?
Oh, I don't know the whole thing. I mean, I yield to no man in my admiration for our lovely and talented daughter, what's her name, but isn't it great to have her out of our hair? Especially on the maid's day off.
What's the maid's day off got to do with it?
Oh, I don't know. Just something about having this whole house all to ourselves. Reminds me of that summer at Rehoboth. Remember? Big old house on the beach.
And all those rooms.
Me chasing you through them.
And me not running as fast as I could. You think anyone else was ever that happy?
No, I don't. Whatever happened to that, purple deal you used to wear?
Oh, it's around somewhere. I think I don't know why.
I always thought it was kind of sexy.
Well, it wouldn't be too hard to find.
Nothing is, honey, not if you really look for it.
Oh, Arnie, I'm so sorry.
About what?
What happened? Everything. Oh.
Nothing happened. You got it? Nothing. We don't talk about it, we don't even think about it, because it never happened. Hmm?
Wouldn't that be your guest?
Couldn't we just, No, I guess not. Well, remember where we were. I wouldn't want us to lose our place.
Arnie, how about if I call the Morrisons and tell them we can't make it tonight?
Come in, come in. You two have met, haven't you? Gene Culligan, Mike Loomis?
We just introduced ourselves in the hall. Hello, Sue.
Hello, Gene.
I hope we didn't put you to too much trouble.
Oh, no, none at all. Hello, Mike.
Hello, Sue.
Well, I'll just leave you boys to your lunch. I've got to go look for something in purple.
Gene, Mike is with the Atomic Energy Commission. He's come up with something he thought we ought to hear about.
Fine. All right. Let's run this down again. You say you found out that some of the young scientists you work with at Atomic Energy Commission are not only being paid by the AEC, but are receiving an added subsidy.
It's $7,500 a year.
$7,500. You say the CIA is secretly paying this added money.
I can prove it. CIA pays these fellows through a dummy foundation called Spruance.
Spruance Foundation. Never heard of it. You on it?
You know what I mean?
Okay, let's say the CIA is subsidizing certain scientists. What's so bad about that?
Well, if you have to ask a question like that, Mr. Culligan, what's the sense of us even trying to talk together?
Well, now, hold it, Mike. You're a scientist, not a college boy. If you have a coherent argument, let's hear it.
Okay, look, suppose you were a leading scientist, and you found out that your young assistant was really a spy for the CIA.
Oh, now all these young scientists are spies?
They will be. Sooner or later, they're going to have to pay their dues, Mr. Culligan.
Mike isn't exactly guessing. He was approached himself.
For what exactly?
The man said all I had to do was listen and remember what I heard. That Spruance was interested in international scientific developments. So if I heard of a new line of work in Russia, Italy, Israel, I was to report it. The more international conferences I attended, the better. The same for friendships with scientists of other countries. There was one other thing. At these international conferences, I was supposed to report on any of our scientists that seemed to be overly chummy with the boys from the communist countries. You know, it's the whole CIA bit.
Well, presuming everything you say is true, what would you have us do?
Well, I think this is one sorry business, and President Raudebush ought to knock it off.
What if the president says no? Well, come on, Mike, what then?
Well, don't put him in that kind of a spot, Gene. He's on our side.
So is the CIA, the last I heard. Well, what then, Mike?
Look, I want Spruance stopped. And if the administration won't do it, Mr. Culligan, I'm going to tell my story to the press.
And wreck the reputations of American scientists around the world? Let's just think that one over for a minute.
You know, if the CIA is supporting the Spruance Foundation, it just might be in the national interest.
Are you trying to tell me that it's in the national interest to bribe decent men, Mr. Culligan?
Bribe's a rough word, Mike.
With an exact legal definition.
Now, wait. Now, look. You call it whatever you like. I say it's immoral. And any administration that puts up with that kind of thing ought to be thrown out at the next election.
Whatever happened to the cold scientific detachment we've heard so much about?
Arnie, there's a Miss O'Brien here with a package for you from the office.
Oh, excuse me.
Well, I've got to be going. I'm sorry I wasted your time and mine.
You haven't wasted a thing, Mike.
You mean you'll talk to the man?
Yes, I will.
Why all the static?
Well, it was important to make sure you had the courage of your convictions.
I've got to go. Will you tell Arnie I'm sorry I couldn't stay longer, and thank Sue for me, will you?
Mike, we'll be in touch. Arnie? Mike had to leave. I better be going, too.
What about Sprung?
Well, all right,
Yes? No. Can I call you right back? Oh, 5 minutes. No. Yes, I will.
I'll write it up as a confidential memo and get it in the president's briefcase before he leaves the office tonight.
That'll probably be best.
Well, it beats reading about it next week in Dave Pollock's newsletter. Arnie, anything wrong?
What?
Are you feeling all right?
Oh, fine. Just a little tired, that's all.
Oh, thanks, Sue, for me.
Sure. Bye-bye, Jim.
Avon calling. Guess what? I'm engaged. I met him in the front of the house. He said he was delivering a car. At the top of the steps, we were in love. By the front door, we were making it. And by the time we got in here, well, we're engaged. Hey, everybody! You want to meet my new fiance I just found on the stairs? Everybody, meet the father of my future children.
Ooh.
What's your name?
Storm.
Don't be silly. That's a dog's name. What's your name?
Storm!
Storm.
Hey, fella, you say you're here to deliver a car?
That's right.
Well, why don't you just deliver it and be on your way?
Hey, look, the lady approached me for somebody named Culligan, press secretary to the president.
My name is Culligan. Those are my car keys, and that's my tie you're wearing.
Oh, those are my cufflinks you're wearing, and I told you, if you ever got into my
better
dresser
stop
again,
across
I'd
the
break
girls
your
upstairs.
Irish
You're
neck.
gonna get yourself in trouble.
What's going on? What's going on?
This man you picked up on the stairs is Culligan's roommate.
Would you like an inch?
No, thanks.
Larry Storm, Butter Nygaard.
Butter?
Storm.
My roommate.
You mean you room with a kooky lady like this?
You room with a garage attendant?
Oh, no ordinary garage attendant. You see, at night, he puts on a mask and dons a cloak, and he becomes super agent.
Oh.
Translation, Larry's with the FBI.
Excuse me.
Hey, baby.
The engagement is off.
Did you have anything to eat? Hungry?
And how?
Okay, get some food. Hey, I got a message for you. Who? A lady called twice. I wrote it down.
Super.
Hello?
Hello, Sue. Jean Culligan.
Oh, Jean, I am sorry to bother you, but have you seen Arnold tonight?
No? Something wrong?
Well, I don't know. He went to play golf. Just a couple of holes, he said, at Burning Tree. He said he'd be home about 7. I haven't been able to find him anywhere.
You call the club?
Oh, yes, he's not there.
Maybe he's with the president.
I called the switchboard, and the president is retired already, and Arnold hasn't been around all evening.
Well, he probably stopped off on his way home to get a drink and got hung up.
No, he wouldn't do that. I mean, well, tonight was sort of special. Oh, and his car is still there. Oh, Jean, I'm scared.
Now, wait a minute, Sue. Calm down. You say his car's still there at Burning Tree?
Yes, they've looked for him. They've looked for him everywhere, and they can't find him. He's just gone.
Mr. Culligan, I'm Joe Hotchkiss, member here. Sue called, said you'd be right over. That's Arnie's car right there. What in the world you figure?
This is Larry Storm. Mrs. Storm is with the FBI.
Storm?
Larry Storm? UCLA, the Rose Bowl against Michigan State.
You got a pretty good memory.
I should have. I blew a bundle on that game.
When did you see Arnold Greer last?
About 6 it was, on the number 1 tee.
How was he dressed?
Gray slacks, blue cashmere sweater, pale blue.
Mr. Hotchkiss,
What is it?
out by the caddy shack, cart number 10 is gone. Mr. Greer took it out and didn't bring it back.
Could you call Bethesda and tell them to send out an ambulance?
Yes, sir.
You think he keeled over out there?
Don't you?
What's over that way, do you know?
Yeah, a fence. And, the dead road, as I remember.
Let's go take a look.
Larry.
Did he say blue cashmere?
Yeah.
Why would he hump the fence? Maybe he wanted to. Maybe somebody made him. Whatever the reason, it's time to call the law.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
The president is keeping all appointments on the list, so we might as well begin with the questions.
Arnold Greer, what else?
I'm afraid the president doesn't know any more about it than you do. Each of you will receive a copy of this release on your way out. Arnold Greer, senior partner of the Washington law firm Greer, Hill, and DeLuca, disappeared without a trace from the Burning Tree golf course last evening. This morning, the president asked the FBI to join in the search after receiving information from the Metropolitan Police that 2 men were seen helping another man into a car last night on Burnett Road near Burning Tree. FBI Director Peter Deskowitz has assigned a task force of special agents to the investigation. Now, that does not mean we believe Arnold Greer was kidnapped. It is merely a possibility being explored. Questions?
Gene?
Mr. Kleiner.
Gene, is that for direct quotes?
The usual paraphrase. When it's direct quotes, I'll let you know.
Mr. Culligan.
Mr. Pollock.
Does the president know that the Dow is down 14 points? They're calling it the Greer sell-off?
We are not commenting on Wall Street.
Mr. Press Secretary.
Has the president spoken to Miss Greer?
Yes, he has. He's expressed his deep concern and offered to help in any way that he can.
Oh, what about the Greer daughter?
Gretchen Greer has been working in Philadelphia this summer with the OEC. She's joining her mother today.
Gene?
Yes.
Does the president think that Greer's disappearance will affect his
I can't hear you, Mr. Kleiner.
I just wanted to know if the president felt that Greer's disappearance would affect his chances for re-election in November.
We hope this affair will be cleared up long before it has a chance to become a political football.
Culligan.
Yes.
Well, Culligan. Was Arnold Greer seeing a psychiatrist as far as you know?
Mr. Pollock, the implications of that question are out of order.
Mr. Secretary,
Yes.
don't you think the American people have a right to know about the mysterious disappearance of the president's most trusted confidant and advisor?
Of course, Miss McGinnis.
For heaven's sake, then, why can't we get one direct quote on just how the president is taking all this?
Reasonable request, I think.
As I am once again unable to resist your charm, as well as your beauty, Miss McGinnis.
My foot.
You can quote this directly. I'll take it slowly. President Rauterbush is deeply concerned. Arnold Greer is one of his best friends, as well as a trusted, if unofficial, advisor. Naturally, the president's concern is therefore personal, and he looks forward to an early solution to this problem, unquote.
Gene?
Yes.
What was Greer advising the president on currently?
General policy.
Including top secret matters?
I don't know.
Well, I think you should find out. People might be very interested to know just how much damage Arnold Greer could do this country.
Is that all?
Is the lid on?
The lid is on until tomorrow morning. Anything comes up, we'll call the list.
Thank you, Mr. Press Secretary.
Just coffee, please.
Hi, Larry.
Hey, Jill, how you doing?
Oh, okay.
This is not a social club. Some coffee. What's happening?
Oh, I just been assigned to the Greer case. We're working it as a special. Come on in. Hey, listen, when you saw him yesterday, did he mention anything about a big cash outlay? No, why? Well, I've been going over his bank account. There was a fairly substantial withdrawal yesterday.
How substantial?
$15,000.
Well, I did see him put a package or something in his wall safe yesterday, and afterwards I thought he acted kind of strange. But I don't think...
What do you mean, strange?
Gene, that was Grace Lally. The man would like to see you in his office when it's convenient.
Yeah, okay. I'll be here when you get back.
Any questions on Greer, just stick to the transcript I gave him, okay?
Okay.
Oh, did you see what it was about?
He's got the head of the CIA in there.
Arthur Ingram, Gene Culligan.
Oh, Diamond, Diamond.
Sir?
Thomas Carlyle had a dog named Diamond. One night he upset a candle in Carlyle's study, and in the resulting fire, the complete manuscript to the history of the French Revolution went up in smoke. Years of work, and had to be completely rewritten. And all Carlyle could say was, "Oh, Diamond, Diamond, how can you know what you have done?"
Consider yourself gently chided. Sit down, Gene. Arthur, the Spruance Foundation is being closed down and the project terminated.
You won't reconsider?
Sorry, Arthur. What I don't understand is why I wasn't informed of this before.
Because of our explicit understanding at our first session after you took office. I keep a memorandum of our discussion on my desk as a constant guideline.
I said I wanted to be consulted on matters of policy.
Exactly, Mr. President. And you said you'd leave the day-to-day details to me.
Arthur, do you really believe the manipulation of young atomic scientists is a day-to-day detail?
Do you have any idea what it would mean to us at this time to penetrate the Red Chinese scientific community?
And do you have any idea of the consequences if the agency's hand is exposed, both inside and outside the country?
Of course, Mr. President. Very few of our recruits yet know of any connection with us. And those who suspect it are the kind to place national interest above all else. Loomis is the first to raise questions.
Well, maybe from just a cold intelligence appraisal, Spruance makes some kind of sense, but it's wrong.
There is something happening in Red China, Mr. President. Tremendous activity at their atomic facility at Lob Nor. Troop movements to the Indian border. Even this business of the Chinese sailor at Sea Island. It's part of a pattern. Maybe leading to confrontation.
Atomic war between us and Red China, you mean?
That's one of the questions Spruance might have answered.
Now, wait a minute. Are you saying without Spruance we'll be crippled?
Impeded, certainly. Of course, we have other clandestine operations aimed toward
All right,
penetration.
then let's concentrate on our other operations and leave our young scientists alone.
Very well, Mr. President.
Arthur, this Mike Loomis leaves us no alternative. If CIA support isn't withdrawn, he'll go to the press with it.
He could be handled. I respect your wishes, Mr. President, and although I don't agree with you, the Spruance project will be closed down.
Thank you, Arthur. I appreciate your cooperation.
I meant to say how sorry I am about Arnold Greer. I know it must be quite a shock to you.
This is terrible.
The agency's at your service, of course. The entire intelligence
Thanks,
community.
Arthur, but we've turned the matter over to the regular authorities. We're sure he'll turn up shortly.
Let's hope so, Mr. President. Nice meeting you, Mr. Culligan.
Mr. Ingram?
I liked your memo. Qualitatively, anyway. Well organized. If you ever decide to change jobs, come and see me. Mr. President.
Arthur? That's your first exposure to Arthur Ingram, isn't it?
He's not as bad as I thought he would be.
Well, don't let that surface charm fool you. He's a man-eating shark. Of course, he's our man-eating shark, and he's thoroughly dedicated to his job. Oh, here. Got something for you. Sorry about the envelope. What What it says is, if you can't decipher my chicken scratches, the President of the United States is pleased to announce the permanent appointment of Eugene Culligan to the post of press secretary.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gannon.
Well, David, what may I do for you?
Any comment on Arnold Greer?
Great tragedy. Hope the poor man hasn't lost his reason.
Do you think that's possible?
Well, sir, if he's been party to any of the pronunciamentos, let me just spell that for you.
No, I've got that, Senator.
Which have recently been emanating from Cloud Cuckoo Land, otherwise known as the White House, then I must certainly assume that he has taken leave of his senses. At least, someone within the confines of the executive mansion has done so.
Can I quote you on that?
I'd be profoundly distressed if you failed to. How do you do, sir?
Warren Skinner, Senator.
Nice to know you,
Mrs.
Skinner. How do you do, Mrs. Skinner?
Carl Trainer,
Carl,
Cattlemen's
good to know you.
Association, and Mrs. Trainer.
How do you do, my dear?
Excuse me, Senator.
Yeah.
Governor Walcott has been trying to reach you. Can I get him for you?
You can, Mrs. Erdlatz, and you may. I hope you good people will all vote for Stanley Walcott, a man who understands the unique problems that are with these nice young people.
Oh, that's Delmer Bronson, 4-H club winner from Butte.
Does my heart good to see
Penny
such
Ann
fine young
Hillstrader
people.
from Helena.
How old are you, my dear?
16. I'm getting through to the governor.
Excuse me. $16. Well.
I have Governor Walcott on 2, Senator.
Mrs. Erdlatz, you are a pearl without a price. Am I speaking to the next president of the United States?
Well, not according to the latest polls, unless, of course, the Eastern Seaboard secedes from the Union. How are you, Earl?
I'm sitting up and taking a bit of nourishment, Stanley, and I wouldn't worry too much about the polls. Or don't you take a morning paper?
Earl, Matt Silkworth. I've been trying to tell the governor we've hit pay dirt on this Greer deal.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
What do you think it's all about?
It's too early to say for sure. But a close friend of the President of the United States doesn't disappear at the outset of a presidential campaign unless he's in some kind of trouble.
Then you do think he took off?
I'm hoping so. Not much mileage for us in a nervous breakdown.
Be too bad if he turned out to be a closet commie, wouldn't it? Or slightly on the lavender side.
I think I might even manage to bear up under it if he turned out to be a combination of the two.
Now, just a minute, Matt, and you too, Earl. We're not going to have this kind of campaign. I'm not going to have any public speculation on this from our people.
There won't be any, Governor. Not until we have some hard facts to go on.
But you do think there's something in it for us?
Positive.
What makes you so sure?
You trust old Earl. So far, it's just a feeling, a sense. You spend enough time in this town and you get so you can smell it. Sir, when the wind sets from the direction of the White House, I get it. Faint, the definite, the pungent odor of cold sweat.
Hello, Jean.
Sue?
Come in.
Sue, I'd like you to meet Larry Storm. Larry's with the FBI.
Oh, how do you do, Mr. Storm?
How do you do?
Come in.
Is Gretchen here?
No, she's still in Philadelphia. She'll be down later. Sit down. I didn't know the FBI had been brought into this.
Well, somebody saw a car parked near Burning Tree last night. There were a couple of men helping another man into it.
I think it was Arnie.
Well, not really, but it's enough to bring the Bureau into the case.
You say he's been kidnapped?
Well, officially, we're trying to give the impression it's amnesia.
Mrs. Greer, I'd feel a lot better if I could have a look in your wall safe.
Oh, what has that got to do?
Your husband withdrew $15,000 out of the bank yesterday. Jean thinks he saw him put it in the safe.
You'd feel better about your amnesia theory if the money's still there.
That's about it, yes.
All right, I know the combination. I'm not supposed to, but I do. I'm not trusted with combinations and things like that. Well, the problem is I go to sanitariums. I'm a drinking lady. I thought you knew. I thought everyone knew.
Easy, Sue. Just take it easy.
It's all right. I'm not going to cave in for once in my life.
Man of varied interests. Astrology, three-dimensional chess, quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong, and in Chinese.
Here we go. Nothing. So much for amnesia.
Don't you think you better answer it, Sue?
I've been getting some pretty weird phone calls lately. Arnie was the kind who thought it was undemocratic to have unlisted numbers. Hello? Yes? Hold on a moment, please. It's a woman. She says she knows something about Arnie. I think she wants money.
Tell her you're interested. Get her name and address. You were saying about Arnold Greer.
Oh, yeah. Like I told you, I saw his picture on the news, and I said, holy mackerel, that's him from across the hall. So I figured, you know, $1 here, $1 there. Huh? You sure you won't? Huh? No? Sit. Oh. Listen, honey, you're positive the FBI, they don't have, like, paid informers?
Lots of luck.
Oh.
Is this the man you say lives across the way?
Oh, gee, I'm sorry. Just put it there. Gosh, I couldn't swear, but sure looks like him, huh? Kind of a nice-looking somebody, huh? But then they always are, right? More often than not.
Who are?
Maybe I didn't come through. There was 2 of them. He had a friend. You know, a fella. Each had keys. They'd meet every week like clockwork.
Are you saying they were homosexuals? Oh.
Well, I mean, are you asking me, did I peek through the keyhole? The answer is no. I'm not one of those watchers, honey. I'm a doer. But take my word. Oh, little ice.
Larry, are you out of your mind? Look, do I tell you how to run your press?
Oh, but come on, Arnold Greer.
We're talking about 2 guys across the hall, one of whom might be Arnold Greer.
No way.
All I know is they've been meeting over there now for over 1.5 years every Wednesday night, and one of them is Arnold Greer.
Now, wait a minute. You say they met just on Wednesdays?
Yeah, right. They come here, about 8 and leave maybe midnight.
All right, can I use your phone?
Sure. Say, listen, honey, I didn't know that the FBI had a Negro detective.
Once a slave, always a slave.
Hello?
Hello, Sue. This is Gene Culligan.
Oh, did that woman know anything about Arnie?
No, Sue. It was pretty much of a dead end. But it did bring up a question of what Arnie does on Wednesday nights.
You mean the Potomac Study Club?
The what?
The Potomac Study Club. He went there every Wednesday night. Let me see, I think it was about a year ago, last December, maybe, I think.
Just where was this study club? I mean, where did they meet? What did they study?
Oh, I can't remember. I'm not sure I ever knew either of those things. Oh, dear, I guess I'm not much help.
No, it's all right, Sue. Thanks anyway.
Come in.
You sent for me?
Oh, yeah, this is Mr. Merrihew.
You run this place? For my sins. Here we are, gentlemen. Their apartment. Klingman and Toynbee, they call themselves.
And, this is the one who called himself...
Oh, Toynbee. They're no trouble. They behave themselves perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Would seem to me that at a time like this, when the streets are not safe to walk on, the police would have something better to do.
Mr. Merrihew, we don't like this thing any more than you do, sir. Who signed the lease?
The taller one.
Tell me about the other one.
Klingman?
Yes, you said he was younger.
Well, not all that young. Well-preserved, 35, if you know what I mean.
Height, weight?
About 5'6", thinnish, dark hair, black horn-rimmed glasses.
Did he give you an address?
Yes, but I might as well tell you it's pure fantasy.
How did he pay the rent? By check?
Cash in an envelope.
Did you save any of them?
No, but I'll be happy to save next month's for you.
I don't think there'll be one next month.
Disconnected?
Yeah. Looks like the Potomac Study Club has packed it in.
Do you think there's a chance
Of what?
we'll find out who Klingman really is?
Well, they've sealed up the apartment, and they'll be going through it for fingerprints tomorrow. Larry's checking out all the garages and parking lots in the area.
Garages?
Yeah, well, if they get his license number, they might be able to check back through that.
Well, I'm off. See you Monday.
Have a good time.
Oh. Well, goodbye, silly whiskers. Mwah. Don't forget to clean out the espresso machine. Bye, old lover. Have a double groovy weekend. Oh, just go right ahead. Listen, if anybody wants me, and what normal, sex-starved young American boy doesn't, the number's on the phone pad.
Okay, fine.
Sayonara, love boats. Try not to miss me too much.
Oh, we'll try. Wait a minute. Great idea. All right.
Yes, he is.
No, I'm not.
Grace Lally?
Yes, I am. Hello?
Gene?
Yes, Mr. President.
Sorry to disturb you, but it's Sue Greer. Gretchen can't get down tonight, and I don't like Sue staying in that house alone. You think you might ask Jill to spend the night over there?
Oh,
I hope I'm not imposing.
Oh, no imposition, sir. Jill'll be delighted to stay with Sue Greer. Yes, sir.
Oh, no, sir. No imposition, sir. Jill would be delighted to stay with Sue Greer. Yes, sir.
We'll consider the United States Intelligence Board in session.
The principal item on the agenda is, of course, National Intelligence Estimate A-4. You've all received your copies?
Yes, I have copy number 7 here, which brings up a point.
Who decided that the National Security Agency should be 7 down on this particular totem pole?
Gentlemen, I assure you, no pecking order implied. On this board, we sit as equals. Now, since we've all read the estimate of our China evaluation chief, I suggest we go straight to discussion. We'll go in the regular order. You lead off, will you, Marvin?
Well, we have no objection to NIE-A-4 per se. However, Nick, could you read the last paragraph out loud for us?
This board takes note of the unusual lull in bomb rattling by the Chi-Coms during the last 2 months. This board will continue to evaluate Chinese actions in order to reassess the long-term China policy toward the U.S.
Thank you, Nick. Comments, Director of Defense Intelligence?
Well, I think the board should underscore the fact that nothing has changed. Lull or no lull.
FBI.
I agree nothing basic has been altered. Red Chinese espionage internally is continuing as usual. There's nothing as yet to report on that Chinese sailor washed ashore near the Summer White House.
Air Force Intelligence?
AI agrees with the estimate.
Anything from State?
We go along with the overall estimate.
AEC?
Well, the Atomic Energy Commission believes the Chinese Red's upcoming tests at Lobnor will tell the tale. If they can get that multiple warhead delivery system into a synchronous orbit, we think their position vis-a-vis the United States will become harder.
Which brings us to Mr. Freitag.
And the National Security Agency has nothing to add. As reported last month, we cracked a senior diplomatic code of the Chinese. They apparently found out about it because they went to a new system which we're still playing with. A lot of flower talk. Iris, pomegranate, daisy, delphinium. Our computers are working on it, but really that's beside the point. If it's the consensus to add a footnote emphasizing that nothing basic has changed as of now, I'll go along.
Army concur? Navy? Very well. If there are no objections, we'll consider the board's estimate with the addendum as articulated by General Palfrey unanimously adopted.
Then is that it for the day?
That's the principal item for today. Of course, I think we'd all like to be brought up to date on the Greer case. Seems to me, Pete, that his very odd disappearance may have implications for the entire intelligence community.
Well, to tell the truth, there hasn't been much progress.
Well, just give us what you have so far.
I'm going to have to beg off.
Why?
I'm sorry, gentlemen. The president has given me explicit orders not to discuss this case outside of the Bureau.
I can appreciate the president's feelings. But if we can't lay our cards on the table here in this room...
Would like to be completely candid here always, but in this case, I cannot.
We're paid salaries to gather and evaluate intelligence, not to play blind man's buff.
Arthur, with all due deference, I must remind you that my orders come from the President of the United States.
Well, in my set, that's what's known as a conversation stopper. I move we adjourn.
Second.
Obviously, there's no need for a vote. The meeting's adjourned.
Arthur, nothing personal. I hope you understand.
That hope is misplaced. I do not understand.
I then proceeded to the garage where, by back-checking the parking tickets for the last 6 months, I ascertained that 2 cars habitually arrived at the parking lot about 8 o'clock on Wednesday evenings only, leaving about midnight. I then...
Feel any better?
Nothing like a cold shower and a cup of coffee to put roses in your cheeks, if that's the phrase I'm fumbling for.
Well, we checked those 2 license plates through DMV, buddy, and you hit it right on the nose. One of those cars is registered in the name of Arnold Greer.
And the other car?
Registered in Maryland to a Dr. Philip J. Lubin, 12102 Kerwood Road, Silver Spring. That's an apartment. Field office made a preliminary check.
What about Philip J. Lubin?
It just missed him.
Gone?
Just left on vacation, according to the super.
Description?
Fits your Klingman locks, stock, and horn-rimmed glasses. He's on the staff at Georgetown. Math department.
Is there a Mrs. Lubin?
No. Well, better get on your horse.
I'd like a half hour to check the Greer material.
What do you mean?
Background, whatever's been dug up.
I'm sorry.
What do you mean, sorry? Are you saying I can't see the files?
The drill on this one is slightly different from our normal procedures. Everything goes vertical, directly to me. There won't be free access to the files. No handing reports among agents. No cross-checking with the other agencies. In fact, no contact with the other intelligence agencies, period. Everything stays in the house.
Clyde, you know it'll take 5 times as long to get anywhere.
I know.
Well, then why don't you just hand out blindfolds?
Look, it's not my idea.
Well, whose idea is it?
The order came from my office. My orders came directly from the President of the United States. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
I'm impressed by the way you handle this Lubin Klingman thing. Keep on top of it.
Mr. Director, without being able to cross-check, I'm going to need a miracle.
Larry, I don't want to put a restraint on you. This is sensitive, with a capital S.
Okay. But remember, I want to be promoted to saint when I come up with that miracle.
Open your hearts and give, so that young people like this can walk. Thank you.
Stillman? One more here, Mr. President.
Oh, Mr. President, over here, please. Right over here. Mr. President.
All right.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. Don't we have something for Eddie?
Yes, we have, Mr. President.
Good. Well, what do you think of that, Eddie? It's not too bad, huh? Huh?
Great. Could I add the shot, Mr. President?
No. This is a private transaction. Thank you. There we go. Bye. And thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Do you know how many votes a picture like that's worth?
Let
Mr.
Wolcott run on pathos. I've got a record of 4 years in office.
And a friend who just went over the hill. I'm sorry, Mr. President, but this whole thing is coming down around our ears. Do you realize that you've fallen off for between 3 and 4 points in every one of the polls?
Johnny, the only poll that really counts takes place on the first Tuesday in November. You know that.
Oh, don't you believe that, Mr. President? The people in this country have a kind of radar for trouble. And we're getting the feedback at campaign headquarters.
What are you talking about?
Well, campaign contributions, they're off.
Well, what can I do?
Well, you can make a statement about Arnold Greer.
I made a statement.
Amnesia, and we're awaiting further developments. The American people just aren't buying it. I can't twist your arm, Mr. President. I can only tell you what I think.
And what do you think?
Wash your hands of Arnold Greer in public and pronto, or we're all in trouble.
No.
But you've got to help us.
I can't.
Well, then God help us.
Johnny, do your best.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for waiting, Arthur. Incidentally, I've arranged for you to use Air Force One.
Sir?
You're still flying out to Illinois to brief Governor Wolcott next Monday, aren't you?
Oh, yes, sir.
Then take my plane. Use the customary guidelines. The opposing presidential candidate is to receive a digest of world security intelligence.
Mr. President, the reason I asked to see you is I have information of concern to you. It's about Arnold Greer.
Oh?
I have information that Arnold Greer flew to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil by several apparently secret stages last Thursday night. I thought you should know at once.
I see. And, what's the source of your information?
Regular agency channels. I was handed that memo by my director of intelligence. We'll have more details, of course, but I thought you should have the gross, unevaluated material without delay.
Well, that's, very thoughtful of you, Arthur.
In view of this information, which puts Greer abroad, I assume you'd like the full attention of the agency from here on in.
No, Arthur, I think not. I don't want too much government emphasis on what's really a private matter.
Oh, it could be done narrowly and discreetly.
No, Arthur. For the time being, we'll rely on the FBI.
Mr. President, I think it's time for us to be completely candid.
All right, go ahead.
I happen to know that the FBI is investigating a possible homosexual relationship between Arnold Greer and one Philip J. Lubin, a Georgetown University mathematician.
Arthur, what the FBI is or is not investigating in connection with Arnold Greer is no concern of yours or of your agency. I repeat, absolutely no concern.
Oh, but it is. You see, Philip Lubin has important security information. He worked for months on Project Goblet, some of which is still highly classified. And Dr. Lubin, like Mr. Greer, has disappeared.
Mr. Director, I'm ordering you to stay entirely out of the Greer situation.
That's a strange order.
Nevertheless, so be it.
It is also odd that for the first time in my memory, the CIA is being denied pertinent reports from a sister intelligence agency. I am entitled by law to that information as Director of Central Intelligence.
Only in cases of national security, which this is not. Arnold Greer's my friend. His wife and daughter are going through hell.
As deeply
I
as
will not have his name bandied about through the entire CIA network. His disappearance will be resolved. But it'll be resolved within the rules I've laid down.
This is final?
Absolutely final. And Arthur, if by any chance Governor Wolcott should ask about Arnold Greer, you tell him it's no concern of the CIA.
I do not agree, but I will, of course, honor your wishes.
Did you say Phil Lubin was in trouble with the law?
No, sir, I didn't say that.
Oh, I see. Just a security check.
I didn't say that either.
I am sorry. I didn't mean to be difficult, Mr. Storm. But Dr. Lubin is a very distinguished member of our faculty, and you can't be too careful.
How long has the doctor been here at the university?
Miss Rogers, would you bring in the material on Dr. Lubin, please? We had some biographies made up last year for the news media.
Is that standard practice?
No, not at all. However, Dr. Lubin is a world-famous mathematician, holder of 3 of the most prestigious awards in his field.
Here you are, Dr. Winthrop.
Thank you, Miss Rogers.
Dr. Winthrop.
Thank you, Miss Rogers. I think that you would find a somewhat shorter version in the directory of the American Mathematical Society and also in Who's Who.
Phi Beta Kappa, Chicago, PhD, Cornell. What does he teach?
He doesn't meet with undergraduate classes. He holds graduate seminars in Fourier analysis and Hilbert space. However, his own research is his real interest.
What field?
The nuclear field.
I see. Do you mind if I take this photograph with me?
Oh, no, not at all.
Dr. Winthrop, how can I get in touch with Dr. Lubin?
Oh, I thought you understood he's on vacation.
Yes. Well, if you'll give me a forwarding address, I'll...
Oh, I'm afraid that would be impossible.
No forwarding address?
Well, Dr. Lubin is on an automobile trip out west someplace.
Just driving?
Just driving.
I see. Thanks again, Doctor.
Oh, anytime at all.
Oh, I hate to bother you, but there's just one more thing.
Yes?
That other picture, I think I'd better take that one, too. Where did you say this was taken?
In Tirana, Albania. The People's Republic of China was honoring Dr. Lubin for his efforts in behalf of world peace. This is Dr. Felix Kisich of Princeton and a Dr. Su Lin, the Chinese cultural attaché in Albania. Perhaps you've heard of Dr. Kisich.
Yes, I have. I've also heard of Dr. Su Lin, too. Thanks again. the alarm, Miss Rogers?
Oh, I was just going to eat my lunch. Do you like nectarines?
I got the feeling you wanted to talk to me.
Oh, now, I am not a snoopy person. It's just that the phone call came through my board, and a phone call like that, well, it is out of the ordinary, you know? It's not an everyday thing at all.
A phone call like what?
From the Albanian delegation at the United Nations, for Dr. Lubin. Oh, I wouldn't have listened otherwise. I hate snoops, I really do. As a matter of fact, when I was a little girl, there was a neighbor down...
phone call, Miss Rogers?
Well, the odd part is that it was in Chinese. Oh, I don't speak it, but I know it when I hear it. Very strange. I didn't even know that he spoke the language.
You mean Dr. Lubin spoke in Chinese?
Oh, the whole conversation was in Chinese, yes.
I see.
Except for 2 words. Gaithersburg Airport. Oh, you sure you wouldn't like a nectarine?
Thank you.
What's your problem, Arthur?
Arnold Greer.
What about him?
We're speaking in strictest confidence, of course.
Of course.
This is our file on Greer. The printout on Philip Lubin. And decrypting of the traffic from Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro?
It's very sketchy, so far, you understand. It's just a collation of material that's come through regular channels. It's nothing like what we'll be able to show you in a week or so.
Rendezvous. An apartment. Toynbee. What do you know? The odd couple.
The president has forbidden the CIA to enter the case. Strike you as peculiar?
Arthur, do you know the second law of politics? It holds that any candidate for re-election will do anything to ensure his election.
And the first law?
Is that law number 2 takes precedence over all the others. I'm thinking exactly what you are, Arthur. Arnold Greer is in some kind of scandal. Women, sexual deviation, blackmail, God knows what. I also think Paul Rodebush knows what that scandal is. May even be personally involved. And he's making every effort to hush this up until after the election.
Somehow, all this doesn't fit into the president's character.
Ordinarily, I'd agree. But you're overlooking the second law of politics. Now, you said you needed my help.
Yes. Suppose I were to sign quietly 3 or 4 of my best agents to track the movements abroad of Arnold Greer.
In direct contravention to the wishes of the president.
What would be your attitude and the attitude of your colleagues on the Senate Watchdog Committee?
You, really like your work here, don't you, Arthur?
I put a good deal of myself into this job.
I know you have. Arthur, I prefer to state cases positively. I'd say that such an action on the part of the CIA director is a purely routine intelligence operation and would be so regarded and applauded by those Senate and House members privileged to oversee the operations of the CIA.
Thank you, Senator.
You'll keep me posted as to your progress.
Of course.
Go get him, Arthur. I'll keep him off your back.
Yes, Bert, the president's aware of the rising turmoil throughout the country. Yes, Bert, he's aware the polls show a loss of confidence in him, but... Yes, Bert. Bert, he knows of plans of a massive protest rally outside the Sugar Bowl. Bert, don't yell at me. Well, tell him. Don't tell me. I only work for the man. What? Well, let me tell you something. Well, the same to you, pal.
Jean, Grace Lally called. The man wants to know when you can see the New Orleans speech.
Look, you hop on over there and tell her I'll have a rough draft on his desk by noon tomorrow. And in case he hasn't heard the howls, tell him I've distributed the latest Greer release as per instruction.
Is this the latest Greer handout? No further developments?
What is it with you guys anyway? You're supposed to be super sleuths. Time's passing and you come up empty-handed.
Somebody's holding out on you.
What?
I found Philip Lubin's car in a parking lot at the Gaithersburg airport, where he and a man answering the description of Arnold Greer took off together in a chartered Beechcraft.
You're kidding. Any idea where they went?
Well, their flight plan said Raleigh-Durham, but there's no record they ever landed there.
Looks pretty bad, doesn't it?
Well, all I know is Lubin's been keeping some pretty strange company.
For instance?
Well, for starters, Dr. Su Lin.
Who's he?
Head honcho of the whole Red Chinese intelligence apparatus. We better face it, brother. Looks like Greer and Lubin are going over to the communists.
We're at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, where President Raudebush is making the kickoff speech in his bid for re-election. And where here, as in major cities throughout the country, violent demonstrations are in progress. These demonstrations have been brewing ever since the disappearance of Arnold Greer, but they were really touched off this afternoon in Washington when the Senate Minority Whip Earl Gannon asked a few questions on the Capitol steps.
We're asking you, Mr. President, with all due respect, to answer some of these plaguing questions. For instance, did the FBI trace Arnold Greer to a sleazy little apartment where for the past year and more he's been meeting alone with another man? Is it true that this other man, we'll call him Dr. X for now, is a famous nuclear scientist and that he's disappeared too? Is it true that these two friends could do our country great damage if they were to turn up, say, in Moscow or Peking? People are wondering, sir, if it's true that for the sake of politics, you are using the dignity and prestige of your office to cover up for a man people are calling Benedict Arnold Greer?
Let me have another cup, please.
About that time, Mr. President.
How's it going? Lions 14, Christians nothing at the half.
Well, oratore te salutamus.
Is, but we'll find out. The police have the man surrounded now. There is no danger to the president. No shots have been fired. President Raudebush is all right.
He's a nuclear messenger.
Thus, the president chose to ignore the one issue about which the country wants straight talk. Instead of shedding light on the deepening Greer disappearance, the only excitement of the evening was generated when the Defense Department nuclear messenger was momentarily mistaken by the New Orleans police for a potential assassin.
Thanks, Gene. I get the picture. Well, it seemed we didn't exactly knock him dead, Johnny.
This is the API wire copy tube is CPI.
Did he actually have a message for you, Mr. President?
He did. The Red Chinese detonated a warhead with nuclear devices. It was apparently orbiting in circumterrestrial space. Well, why isn't your hair standing on end? How long can we live with these bombs? If everybody doesn't disarm, it's Goddard Damarung. Sooner or later, we'll incinerate the world.
Mr. President, please produce Arnold Greer.
Unfortunately, I can't do that.
Well, then my advice is to repudiate him, throw him to the wolves.
And I won't do that. Work it out, Johnny. You can do it.
Yes, sir.
The press is going to want a statement on Earl Gannon's speech, sir.
No comment.
No comment.
Well, naturally, you'll spice that up with a little of your world-famous Irish wit.
I'm stretching it a little thin right now, sir. What they want is some hard information.
You just have to do your best, Gene.
Yes, sir, fine. But I'm getting shafted pretty good with these half-truths from the Wolcott people. I can't handle them blindfolded.
The FBI's working around the clock.
You've got to put me in
I'm
the picture,
sure the
sir.
whole thing will be over before.
But at least let me see the FBI progress reports.
Out of the question.
But, sir,
Gene, further discussion is pointless.
Maybe the whole deal is pointless, Mr. President. Maybe you should look for someone else to take over for me. You don't want a press secretary, you want a palace eunuch, and I'm not about to pass that physical.
Do me a favor, Gene. Bear with me a little while longer. And trust me.
Yes, sir.
But assuming that Greer is actually...
We are not commenting on Greer, okay?
Colonel, what about the Russian rumor?
What now, Paulie?
They're implying it's another Burgess-McLean deal.
The White House isn't responsible for what Moscow implies.
How does the president account for the trend of
I'm off
disaffection
it,
in the
Joe.
young?
The press briefing will be at the usual time.
Welcome, my captain.
Get the polls?
Not in yet. Messages are on your desk, and yes, I am well. Thank you for asking. Mr. Culligan's office. Joe Alsop's office about the Gannon blast.
No comment.
No comment. That's what he said. Mr. Culligan's office. Oh, hi. Sue Greer on 2.
Hello, Sue. How are you?
Hanging in there, as Gretchen says.
How is she?
Oh, she's fine. She's right here.
Give me my best, please.
But I suppose you've heard what lovable old Earl Gannon's been saying.
Sue, you mustn't think that...
I know. Politics, name of the game and all that. But I was just thinking, when the president answers those lies, I think it would be a very good idea if I were there at the news conference. You know, present a solid front.
There's not going to be any news conference, Sue. Not right now, anyway.
What do you mean?
Well, the president can't dignify those charges.
He's got to say something.
He can't. Try to understand, Sue.
Make me understand. Explain to me in words of one syllable why Paul Raudebush is standing by doing nothing while they destroy his best friend's
Sue, let me
reputation.
speak to Gretchen, please.
Make me understand that, Gene. Make me understand that.
Sue! Sue!
You mean the president's actually going to let Gannon's charges stand?
How many times have I told you to place these in some kind of order? Important ones on top. Give me a cup of coffee.
Yes, your worship.
And wear a dress to work tomorrow. This is the White House, not Montego Bay.
Is this better?
It's fine. Look, honey, I'm sorry. It's just not one of my better mornings.
Anytime you start feeling unappreciated around here, you can come to work for a newsletter. Good salary and cuckoo fringe benefits.
What I don't need this morning, Pollock, is a lot of guff from you. Do we have an appointment?
All I want from you is one straight answer.
Press briefing, 4 o'clock sharp.
4 o'clock, I'll be on a big silver bird.
These are the breaks.
Where's Greer?
Don't muscle man me, Dave.
Oh, come on, Culligan. Where's Greer?
Have you tried the University Club?
I asked you a straight question. What about a straight answer?
I don't know. That's straight enough for you?
I can't believe they've blacked you out on this.
On what? Who's they?
You really don't know what's going on, do you?
Do you, Dave?
I know the American people are being lied to, kept in the dark. I know that.
Look, Pollock, do you have some hard information? Or are you just trying to sound like a big man?
You can read all about it in the newsletter.
When?
Just as soon as I talk with Arnold Greer.
Greer? You know where he is?
I've got a line on him.
Then why come here asking me about it?
To give you a chance to get out from under, buddy. Because when I get back, the whistle blows and everything goes.
Now, just a second. Did this Pollock mention whether he was flying on commercial airlines, charter, or private?
Big silver bird, that's all he said.
No, sir, he didn't. Yes. No, not until I finish up this New Jersey thing. I'm leaving first thing in the morning. Right. Yes, sir, I'll tell him. Thank you. Consider yourself thanked.
Big FBI man. Can't you forge your own ties?
You know him?
Huh? Yeah, Dr. Kisich. Felix Kisich, Princeton University, Nobel Prize winner.
And head of the plasma physics lab. And also friend to Arnold Greer and Philip Lubin. And he's also worked on some of the most important hardware in Uncle Sam's nuclear arsenal.
Is he mixed up in this?
I hope not.
Oh, come on, Larry. What is that supposed to mean? I hope not.
Well, it simply means that a couple of weeks ago, Dr. Kisich left for a scientific conference in Helsinki. But he got off the plane in London, and nobody's seen him since.
Yeah? Yeah, who is it?
Oh.
Gene, is that the phone?
Yeah.
some guy.
What's the matter?
Nothing. Yes, something's the matter. I said hello, and this guy mumbled something and hung up like a shot. Now, 1:15 in the morning is a little late for a man to be calling.
Well, it depends what he had in mind.
Oh, that's great.
You're jealous. You are. I don't believe it.
Well, I'm a little old-fashioned, darling. I believe a girl should be content with one man at a time.
Gene, that call was for Butter.
Oh, yeah?
She often gets calls at this time from one of her guys.
I don't know if I believe that. I think I'm beginning to do it. Believe it. Believe it. Have you ever considered making an honest man of me?
Hey, can't we just be together? Let it go at that. What's the matter?
You're some psychology major. Didn't anyone ever tell you about rejection?
No. What about rejection?
Well, it has a very bad effect on the morale of square Irish types.
Oh! Nothing personal. I'm just not going to get
Well,
married.
all right,
that's
but you're
all.
going to be the one to tell our kids because I just don't
There
have
aren't
the
gonna be
heart.
any kids.
Why not?
Good. World's gone out of its mind. I mean, who'd bring a child into this kind of nut house?
Oh, now you sound like Rauterbush.
Hey, do we have to talk about him?
I get the feeling that he's not your favorite president anymore.
No. You know, at first, I wouldn't have been surprised if Paul Rauterbush walked across Chesapeake Bay.
But since you become one of the world's foremost political analysts, you think that maybe...
Look he's a snake oil salesman, and you know it.
And what does that make me?
His #1 shill. I mean, no comment, no comment, no comment. This is a recording.
Oh, I like that. That's a great piece of satire you got there.
You know something, Culligan? Every once in a while, you really...
Well, you don't exactly make me feel like... Oh, chill. You know, you pick the strangest times to talk about politics. I forgive you. Oh, no, don't be sorry. You're right. I'm going to have a talk with him tomorrow, and he either levels with me completely on this Greer deal or he finds himself another boy.
You mean you'd quit?
What? You answer it this time.
Hello? Yes, he is. Yes, I will.
Who was that?
President's secretary. Sue Greer just tried to kill herself.
How is she, Doctor? She'll be all right. Good. Gretchen,
Why didn't you stop them?
the doctor says she'll be all right.
Do you know why she did it? Have you heard what they're calling my father?
I'm sorry, Gretchen.
You could have stopped them. Why did you stop them? Why did you stop them?
Mr. President,
Did you happen to hear Earl Gannon's speech from Louisville last night?
Louisville, no, sir.
You ought to look it over.
Mr. President, in spite of what I said the other day,
I find I can no longer continue to work as your press secretary unless I have free access to information.
Free access to information? You know, that's really pretty funny.
Sir?
I've known there was a high-level leak in the staff someplace, but I thought we were friends.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You would if you'd read a transcript of Gannon's speech. There. That paragraph should be of a special interest to you, where he says there's a threat of mass desertion within the Raudebush camp.
Even by such inner circle members as the press secretary who threatened to resign the other day on the grounds?
On the grounds that he was being treated as the palace eunuch. That's a direct quote from our conversation in the plane, Culligan. And you and I were the only two parties to that conversation.
I don't play the game that way, Mr. President.
Then explain the direct quote.
I did not tell anyone of our conversation that I...
Well, go on, explain it.
Well, there was one person, sir.
Who?
But she wouldn't.
Who are you talking about?
Palace eunuch?
Jill, the president wants to know if you told anybody.
Well, yes, I guess I did mention it to Butter, but she never...
Butter?
Her roommate, sir, Butter Nygaard.
You mean to say you've been discussing confidential White House matters with your roommate?
Well, I didn't know it was confidential, Mr. President. But she'd never repeat it to Senator Gannon. Butter has no interest in government, and politicians bore her. She's very apolitical.
Young lady, if you want to stay with us, from now on, do not discuss White House affairs with anyone. Understood? Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, that's all. Now, what about this roommate of hers?
Oh, she's a kook, sir, but she's harmless. Works for ICES.
ICES?
International Cultural Exchange Service, I think. It's one of those privately funded commissions, but she certainly doesn't... Wait a minute.
What?
She flew down to Louisville yesterday.
She did? Well, she's got to be the pipeline to the Wolcott people.
Honey, what time's Butter due back from Kentucky?
2:15 at Dulles. Why?
You're gonna have to hold down the fort.
You're really something else, Culligan. I think you're suffering from a collapsed mind.
What's the matter with you?
Or maybe it's me. I must be one of the classic dum-dums of the whole world. I actually thought you were going in there to quit your job unless the president told you the truth. And the next thing I know, I'm standing there being accused of selling out White House secrets.
Jill, no one accused you. Listen.
Let me go.
Will you listen to me?
I listened to you last night. Now you listen to me. That man's evil.
Oh, come on, honey. You don't know what you're saying.
I know this. You said you'd quit if he didn't tell you the truth. Well, did he? Come on, Culligan. Let's get out of here. I give up.
Jill, wait a minute.
Green phone, Culligan.
Yes, Mr. President?
Culligan.
Butter.
Wow, how'd I get so lucky? If this is a pass, the answer's yes, as long as we don't get emotionally involved.
Can we talk?
Yeah, why not? Come on, buy me some coffee.
Hey, this is nice. How long have you worked here?
3 years. He's working in some moldy government crypt.
Yeah. Yeah. How's it supported? Individual contributions?
Foundation money, mostly.
Sprone's Foundation.
Yeah, that's one of them. Come on, coffee's
I thought
downstairs.
Sprone's was located in New York.
They were. They moved down here last month.
What is it, some kind of a family deal?
No, it's businessmen largely who want to purge their consciences with good works. The coffee's
Butter,
downstairs.
what were you doing in Louisville yesterday and today?
Just what is this, Culligan?
Who'd you travel with?
What?
I think you've been to Louisville helping a prominent senator pile garbage on American people.
You've got your nerve. You better get out of here.
Oh, Jill wants you to start looking for another roommate.
Culligan, you're a fink.
I'm surprised at you, Butter. Such an old-fashioned word for such a now girl.
Hey, wait a minute, Culligan. Wait a minute. You can't come in here. Who do you think you are? You better get out of here.
Culligan?
Oh, Mr. McCann.
You two know each other?
Culligan and I are old friends.
Acquaintance.
Whatever you say. Why don't you run along, Miss Niggard? I might as well be candid insofar as you guessed it anyway. It's the Greer deal. This green tape represents Greer and Lubin. They left Gaithersburg Airport on a chartered plane at about 8 o'clock on the night of Greer's disappearance. They flew to Atlantic City, where they switched planes and flew to Kennedy. There they switched again. A jet cargo job operated by Overseas Quick Freight. Non-stop to Rio. The hot Hungarian pink, that's Kisich. Dr. Felix Kisich. He left New York and went to London. He was due in Helsinki for a conference. Instead, he went to Madrid, then to Cairo. From there, he flew to Luanda with a couple of members of the Red Chinese consular staff. He was last seen boarding an Albanian merchant ship, the SS Evangeline Sachs. Greer, Lubin, and now our top scientist of all, Felix Kisich. All someplace down there in the South Atlantic.
Why?
Our minds are open to any possibility, including the working hypothesis that they are about to deliver a nuclear detection device to the Red Chinese. A few idealistic kooks lose their nerve. They could very easily tell themselves that the world was better off red than incinerated.
Do you think President Rauterbush is aware of this?
The CIA was called off the investigation. Have you ever stopped to think how strange those orders really are? Even the best of men can crack under pressure.
You mean even the president?
I mean especially the president.
is Chet Huntley.
And Betty White, speaking to you from Washington, D.C., with our close-up of today's top news story.
Well, there's not much doubt as to what is topic A in Washington.
We haven't heard much else for the past couple of weeks, Chet.
For the benefit of anyone who's spent the last few weeks adrift in an open boat or trapped in a cave, we're talking about the disappearance of Arnold Greer. Greer is a prominent D.C. attorney, the president's best friend, and, well, what else?
He's the president's closest advisor.
Which means he has a lot of highly sensitive information, top secret. So, it became a matter of urgent national concern when Arnold Greer disappeared last month. Vanished without a trace from Burning Tree Golf Club.
What does the president say, Chet?
Well, so far, very little, really. He's concerned, looking forward to an early solution, and so on. But the official position seems to be that Greer has suffered temporary amnesia. Now, of course, you'll hear a lot of other possibilities mentioned.
Such as defection to the communist bloc, or kidnapping, or, well, speculation, to coin a phrase, is rife. And from Bethesda Hospital comes word Sue Greer has been taken off the critical list.
Now, Sue Greer, as you probably know, is the wife of missing presidential advisor Arnold Greer, and her attempted suicide is the latest in a series of perplexing and tragic events, which we'll be discussing with our next guest. But first, here is some background material. The official position, according to White House Press Secretary Gene Culligan, was that Greer had been overworking, that it really wasn't anything serious, that he had just wandered off.
It's purely speculation at this point, but many signs indicate temporary amnesia.
The Senate Minority Whip, Earl Gannon, disagreed with the White House. But what else is new?
Senator Gannon.
Ah, Mr. Gronsky, yes.
Senator, you're quoted as saying you don't believe the White House theory of amnesia.
Amnesia, my foot. It appears to me this country can ill afford 4 more years of poor Raudebush and his disappeared cronies. It turns out that Dr. Philip Lubin of Georgetown University missing too. Young fellow, unmarried, very warm friend of Greer's, I understand. Both missing, same day.
Senator, I must say that's a very curious statement for you to make. Are you implying...
Mr. Gronsky, I imply nothing. But I love the red, white, and blue of that honored flag, and I'd hate to see it changed to lavender and old lace.
Thank you, Senator.
Yes, yes.
Strangely, the same theme was picked up by the other side of the political spectrum as anti-Raudebush activists tried to disrupt the president's recent speech at the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans.
Where is Greer? Where is Greer? Where is Greer? Where is...
It's a fair question, certainly. Is it amnesia? Was Arnold Greer kidnapped? Will he suddenly appear behind the Iron Curtain? Any ideas?
No, but perhaps my guest will be able to give us some special insights. I'd like to introduce the famed Washington, D.C. mystic and seeress, Hester Portinari. Well, Miss Portinari?
I see no sexuality in this. The aura is red, the color of blood. But not this other. It's strange. No one seems to mention the Chinese submarine sailor. It's so important to me.
You mean the sailor whose body drifted ashore a couple of weeks ago down by the summer White House?
Exactly. The Chinese submarine. In the water. Like the shark. Waiting. Why?
You think that had something to do with the Greer case?
We will discover that the Chinese had planned to kidnap the president. The plan failed.
And Arnold Greer?
He was kidnapped in his place.
And Philip Lubin, do you feel that his disappearance was connected with Arnold Greer?
Definitely. Dr. Philip Lubin functioned as the Judas goat.
What? I'm coming! Look, if you're looking for butter, she's gone.
Well, what happened to a nicer kid?
I'd rather you not stay.
Oh, what is the matter with you anyway?
Look, Culligan, what are you, insensitive or just dense?
Did you know she was working for Central Intelligence? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that, if it's true.
Well, it's true. Take my word for it. You know that office she works at, that ICES? Well, I followed her there yesterday.
Look, I'd rather not hear about it.
Well, you're gonna hear about it. Now, they've got this big world map on the wall, all marked where they trail Greer and Lubin and a Princeton professor, Dr. Felix Kissich. And if that's not enough for you, darling...
I believe you. I believe you.
Well, what happened to the outrage, the moral indignation? I mean, shouldn't you be out there picketing somebody? Doesn't it bother you that she was using you? That she was actually spying on the President of the United States?
Oh, and poor dumb Jill supplied all the goodies. Okay, you can go back to the man now and tell him he could continue to play God.
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
It means I think Rowdy Bush is going to get us all blown up.
Oh, sure. Besides which, he's a big snake oil salesman, and I'm his #1 shill.
Look, I hated this argument the first time we had it.
I wasn't too thrilled with it either.
Well, do we have to have it again?
No. Just come back to work.
Look, Gina, I'm sorry, but...
Now, this line represents Greer and Lubin from Gaithersburg to Kennedy, and then on a chartered cargo jet to Rio.
And this line represents Dr. Felix Kisich?
Right, ending here at Luanda, where he was last seen getting aboard an Albanian merchant ship, the SS Evangeline Sachs. Now, this map is as Gene Culligan saw it in the Spruance office.
Well, it checks out so far. We have a confirmation on Greer and Lubin out of Kennedy for Rio.
And after that?
That's exactly what we're hoping to find out. Now, you're leaving on the 6:55 flight for Brazil out of Dulles. Something wrong?
Oh, I just didn't realize that Brazil was in our jurisdiction.
It isn't. You're on vacation. Here, I had the lab print a few more blow-ups for you. Rio police have been notified. You'll be given full cooperation.
Well, what do I tell the embassy people?
Nothing. You stay away from the embassy. Now, you know the drill. At the President's direction, there will be no cross-checking with the other intelligence agents. Absolutely no contacts with the other agencies.
Let's go over the drill once more.
Why is it every time you use the word drill, I feel like I should start counting cadence?
Somehow I don't feel like small talk.
All right. You'll call me twice a day, 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. If I don't hear from you within the hour, I will place a call to you. Reginald Jones, Hotel de Caboa, Rio.
Right. If I can't be reached by phone, I'll leave word that I'll call at the next scheduled time.
I just can't believe Descovitz is mixed up in anything like this.
Gene, in all my years at the Bureau, and I've had some tough ones, I have never had to work with a bag over my head. I feel somehow I'm being manipulated, isolated.
It's not happening, man. It's a bad dream.
Later, bud.
Right. Hey, don't forget about Pollock now.
Right.
Por favor. Rápido.
Captain Fonseca, thanks again.
My pleasure, senor.
You'll send that interpreter around in the morning, won't you?
Of course, my very best man.
Good night. Good night.
Oh, by the way, senor, the name of the American journalist that will cause trouble is Senor David Pauli.
That's right, Captain.
Muito obrigado, senor.
Vamos con la estación, ¿eh?
Yes, Gene.
Press has some questions.
So have I. Can a simple, homespun American boy from Mankato, Minnesota, find true happiness in the White House? Tune in tomorrow.
Mr. President, half the country's afraid you're moving us into war.
And the other half's afraid I'm not. I'm sorry, Gene. I know what I've been putting you through with the press. Someday, soon, I hope you'll understand why I can't say anything more right now.
I'm trying to understand, Mr. President. It's not easy.
Gene, give me 2 weeks. If at the end of that time you still want to resign, I'll buy time on the network so you can tell the country why you're leaving. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
For now, you're just going to have to trust me. And if you pray for me. For all of us.
Okay.
Te vejo mais tarde, hein?
Tá bem.
Understand English, amigo? Hmm? And suppose you tell me who you are and what it is about me that grabs you. I'm assigned, senor, you understand? To protect North Americano importante. You mean the law? Sim, senor. El Fuzz? Sim, senor, sim, senor. Then show me something. Anything that says police on it. Hold it. Police.
Okay, I'm sorry. No hard feelings.
But of course not. Perhaps I can help the senor in some small way.
How's that?
Well, if I knew what it was the senor wanted in Rio de Janeiro.
These 2 men, you ever seen them before?
These gentlemen are North Americano?
That's right.
Perhaps I can be of some slight service to you after all, senor.
You mean you know something about these 2 men?
Very possibly. Follow me. Capaz o senhor esteja aqui nessa casa. Genaro! Ô, Genaro, vem cá. Sai daqui. Senhor, por favor, senhor.
O que você quer?
Meu amigo é da polícia norte-americana e ele O carro da embaixada acabou de trazê-lo do aeroporto. Ele tá aí procurando um pessoal aqui no Rio de Janeiro. Agora, toma cuidado porque ele tem um tremendo 38 debaixo do braço aqui, o nosso amigo. Muito bem, Bellamere. Muito bem. You like to show him, senor, the pictures, the man that you see? Benvenuto, norte-americano. Benvenuto.
If he's not armed, send him in. Morning, G.
Senator, how are you?
It's uncommon kind of you to save these fat and old bones of mine a trip. Won't you sit down? What are you drinking?
Oh, nothing. It's,
Nonsense. Let me fix you something to fight the fevers. Got some mighty fine old bourbon. Might even be persuaded to join you.
Your note said you had something urgent you wanted to talk to me about, Senator.
Straight and to the point. A quality I've always admired in you, Gene. Have you ever considered running for elective office?
Some people back home have been talking about it.
I hope you listen to them. We need more young people with your abilities in government. Party considerations aside, you'd make a fine legislator.
Nice of you to say so, Senator.
That's why I hate to see you mixed up in this messy business.
I mean, I could ruin a fine career before it started.
Let me give you some good advice, Gene. Administration is like a ship. When it sinks, everything around it gets sucked down along with it. Might be a good idea to swim away where you can.
Sounds to me what we're talking about is rats, Senator.
Okay, if you want to put it like that. They tell me rats will swim for their lives, and some people seem to disapprove of that, as though there was something noble about going down with the ship. Me, I don't see it that way. I figure any dimwit can stay there and drown.
You're telling me all this because I'm a nice fellow and you like me.
No, because I'm a curious old codger. And I'd be mighty grateful to anybody who'd keep me posted on what's going on at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Well, you're a taxpayer, Senator. You're entitled to any news releases I give out.
That's all I want. My own special news release. With a little more detail and a little more inside information.
What is it about me, Senator? Do I have a shifty look or something?
I think I can safely predict that in 2 years, folks here will be addressing you as Congressman Culligan.
I said, what makes you think I'd do your hatchet work for you?
Let's say I figured you for a survivor.
And let's say I figured you for a smoother operator. Thanks for the drink, Senator.
Watch out for the suction, Culligan. It's going to be a bitch kitty.
Está muito bem para você.
Thank you. Think I had enough.
Yes.
Ah, you are feeling better.
I'm feeling. I'll settle for that.
Mercurio, non giada nada.
Captain, in case I didn't mention it, thanks.
Oh, do not thank me. You are my amigo. Hey, that fellow you was with, Bosley, he belonged to a little group like to kidnap North Americanos.
Yeah, but he showed me a police card.
You want nice police card, senor? I get it. It's not hard to get. 5 cruceros. Say, maybe I have the lock for you. These ones, they go on boat. Casa Algieri. Trawler like this, but not so good one. The Pedro Alfonso is the best trawler in the whole damn ocean.
This trawler, where does it go to?
Sail around, fish for the lobster like this one. Sometimes carry supplies for the Russian boats. Sabes? Russians fish the same beds.
You sure?
Sure. Hey, we got friend, and she got friend, who is the first mate on the Casa Algieri, okay?
This, Casa Algieri, did it go to meet the Russian boats this time?
No. Your friends, they paid to go to island. It's called Tristan da Cunha.
Tristan da Cunha? Never heard of it.
Tristan da Cunha is in South Atlantic. It's a barren, lonely rock. Only 200-300 peoples. Descend from the shipwrecked sailors.
Muy peligroso. Muy peligroso.
How you say it? Very dangerous. No dock, no jetty. Island people must come for you in a small boat.
Captain, do you know where I can hire an airplane to take me to this island?
Impossible. No place on island for plane to come down.
Will you take me on your boat?
Long trip.
How long?
4-5 days. The Pedro Alfonso will need much of the fuel and the food and the supplies.
I'll pay you what you want.
Oh, you are my amigo, my friend.
How much?
$3,000 American.
Amigo Mercurio, it's a deal.
Amigo Storm, it is my pleasure.
No, Chet. The president will not give any exclusive interviews on Greer, either on the record or for background. Well, he's already turned down 3 requests. No, not a chance. He's firm on this. Yeah, okay. Give my best to Mary. See you soon.
Mr. Culligan, the long-distance operator has a collect call for you from Rio de Janeiro.
Okay, have her put it on 2. Hello, Larry. Hello, Larry, is that you?
Who else?
What's happening?
Well, I gotta make this quick. I've had some luck on Greer and Lubin. Looks like they're on an island called Tristan da Cunha.
Tristan da Cunha?
Yeah, it's a chunk of lava stuck in the middle of the South Atlantic. British-owned. Population, 300.
Well, what's on this, Tristan da Cunha?
Well, I'll let you know the minute I find out. A friend of mine's got a trawler. The Pedro Alfonso. Just happens to be going my way.
Larry, has it got a radio in case I want to get in touch with you?
The receiver and transmitter, I checked it. 1837 kilocycles, call letters, Alpha Bravo, Yankee Bravo.
Oh, wait a minute. Pedro Alfonso, 1837 kilocycles, Alpha Bravo, Yankee Bravo.
Right. Now, I'll stand by the radio 1 hour every night, starting 8 p.m. your time. That's 2,000 hours. Got it?
Got it.
Oh, there's another thing I want you to do some checking for.
Shoot.
That ship Kissich was seen getting aboard?
The SS Evangeline Sachs. What about it?
Now, try to find out where it was bound, will you?
Well, how do I do that?
Remember that wild Navy lieutenant commander friend of mine?
Who could forget Big Bubba Tubo?
Yeah, well, he's assigned to OPCON. That's Synclant Operations Control Center. Check it out with him, okay?
Got it.
Good, good. Sure, let him in.
Hi there, good buddy. How are you? Huh?
Pretty big layout, right? Right this way. How you been? As you were, Dan. This is Gene Culligan, the President's press secretary, Dan Fargo.
Dan, how are you?
How do you do, sir? I've been telling him how hot you were. Let's see if you can find us the SS Evangeline Sykes, Albanian Registry, LPOC Luanda.
I'll see what we've got.
This way.
Dave, let's see what we have on the SS Evangeline Sykes. Albanian Registry, LPOC Luanda.
This is the C-scope. It's a visual funnel for a sea surveillance computer. We feed the computer all marine reports, sightings, radio traffic. And every hour it gives us a readout here. Course and speed, every ship in both Atlantics.
Yes, sir, here we are. The SS Evangeline Sykes, out of Luanda, bound for Accra. Designated Bravo 113.
We assign every ship a number.
What do you think?
You'd better check it again.
Something wrong?
Not necessarily.
Well, what's going on? Is it out there?
Well, it's out there, all right. But Bravo 113 sure isn't headed for Accra. Get a readout on X-ray 109er.
X-ray 109.
It's got a big brother with it. Escort, man of war.
X-ray 109er. The Szerzynski, USSR guided missile cruiser, Sverdlov class.
Soviet cruiser and Albanian merchant. I didn't know they were talking.
It's a new one on me, pal.
Present course 210 degrees true. Speed 23 knots, maintaining radio silence.
Where would that course take them?
Let's see. Run a sweep on the next block west.
Roger.
Some pretty strange goings-on out there.
And another lucky winner.
What this time?
X-ray 276.
Get a readout.
X-ray 276. Oping Hao. Atomic-powered submarine, Hero class, People's Republic of China.
Position?
About 350 miles due north of the island of Tristan da Cunha.
But he must be giving a party.
What do you mean?
Extend course on merchantman. Tristan da Cunha. Looks like the cruiser and merchant are headed there, too. Give me a hard copy of everything on the screen. Roger. Excuse me. I've got to get this to my boss, like, instantly.
Sure, Bubba, thanks for the information.
You bet. If anything comes up, I'll be in touch.
Right.
Dan will show you out. Sir, could I interrupt a moment?
Certainly, Tibor. Major.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
What do you got?
We just took this readout off the C-scope. Albanian merchantman, Soviet cruiser, Chi-Com atomic submarine. All converging on Tristan.
Or appear to be. Could be just chance.
Yes, sir.
All right. Could be trouble.
Yes, sir.
Admiral Jeter? Captain Meadowcroft here, sir, ops desk. We spotted something peculiar on the sea surveillance computer, so we've got an Albanian merchantman, a Soviet cruiser, and a Chi-Com nuclear sub. Well, the peculiar thing is they all seem to be on course for Tristan da Cunha. Sir? I see. Aye, sir. That's strange.
Sir?
Admiral says that the British liaison office just called him. Says they're out of communication with Trista. Apparently their transmitter is down. He wants us to sharpen surveillance.
Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Here.
Get me General Palfrey, please. Defense Intelligence.
Conference room, McCann speaking. General Palfrey?
General Palfrey? Yes, Major. No, it's all right. If it's urgent, I want to know about it. Yes? Oh? Yes, I see. Well, keep on top of it and let me know if the picture changes. Jay.
Ready, gentlemen?
Arthur. One of my men, Sintan, says the Navy's in a flap. Know anything about a Chicon sub, a Soviet cruiser, and an Albanian merchant ship playing games in the South Atlantic?
Nothing's crossed my desk on it so far, but it's in line with the reason I called this emergency meeting at the Intelligence Board. Gentlemen, if you will please take your seats. Just received some disconcerting news from one of our people inside Red China. But first, I'll ask our China expert to give us a readout on the current situation. Dr. Page?
Gentlemen, as we know, the continuing acrimony between the People's Republic of China and Soviet Russia these past years has effectively kept the two major communist powers occupied with each other. However, since the recent successful series of atomic tests at Lob Nor, the Board of National Estimates has been on a crash program to determine whether we could detect any change in relations between these two countries. Our latest estimate of intentions indicates a distinct and continuing lessening of tensions leading to a détente. And gentlemen, our analysts are predicting a mutual non-aggression pact between the Chinese and the Russians in the very near future.
How near? That, I'm afraid, is my bad news. We've had word from Red China. Premier Wang Kuo flew to Russia this morning, and that we can expect an important joint announcement from Moscow.
Do you know what this could mean? It means exactly what the Hitler-Stalin Pact meant in 1939. They don't have to watch each other any longer. They can now turn their full attention on us.
Gentlemen, I'm afraid the Russians and Chinese have made profits of us. Moscow has just announced the signing of a mutual non-aggression pact. Naturally, this makes breaking the new Chinese diplomatic code a matter of utmost urgency. Jerry, can we expect a breakthrough soon?
We're getting close. Results, hopefully in a few days.
Very well. Gentlemen, alert your organizations. The entire intelligence apparatus is to give this matter priority status until further notice. We'll adjourn for now, subject to immediate recall as events dictate.
Egregious?
No. See, with a word like that, I could drop the whole election.
Why don't you just say, the president sees no...
There's a phone call for Jean, Mr. President.
Well, hold it for a few minutes.
I thought it might be important, Mr. President. It's overseas, Rio de Janeiro.
All right.
On one, Jean.
Go ahead.
Maybe I better take it in my office.
No, it's all right. Take it right there.
Gene Culligan speaking.
This is the most incredible thing that's ever happened to me in all my
Who is this?
The freedom of the press is being infringed upon, you know.
Wait a minute, Aubrey.
I'm an American citizen. I'm a reporter.
Oh, this line. That's better. Who is this?
It's Dave Paulick.
Oh, Dave Paulick.
That's right. Paulick.
What's your problem, Dave?
My problem is I'm being deported.
Deported?
As if you didn't know it.
On what grounds, Dave?
On the grounds that I may be getting too close to finding out what really happened to Arnold Greer.
Por favor, señor. Aquí está hablando señor Capitano Fonseca, Policía Federal, Rio de Janeiro.
Gene Culligan, White House Press Secretary. What can I do for you?
We regret, señor, but there seems to be an irregularity with Señor Paulick's passport.
Oh, that's too bad.
It is very unfortunate.
Look. It's a rust, Culligan, and you know it.
Don't be
You
ridiculous.
gonna get these people off my back or not?
Look, Pollock, I don't have the authority to interfere with the internal policies of a friendly sovereign state.
All right. I'll come home. Doesn't matter. I've already got enough material on Arnold Greer to blow the administration right out of the water.
If you have this information, write it. Stop threatening.
Gee,
Wait a minute.
is there any way to stop this man from writing what he thinks he has?
Dave Pollock? No, sir.
Let me talk to him. Hello, Dave. Paul Rodebush. I'd like to ask a favor of you. Before you write your story, come in and see me. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Do I have your word? Yeah, exclusive and on the record. That's all I ask, Dave. Thank you very much. Come in when you get back. Right.
If the White House press finds out you've granted an exclusive interview on Greer, they're not gonna like it.
I tell you what, Gene. Let's not tell him. Now, where were we?
Sir, this city, the press corps has a pipeline a mile long. My credibility will be right out the window.
Then we'll have to keep him from finding out.
I'm afraid that's not good enough, Mr. President. When the press no longer has faith in my word, I'm no good to you or your administration. Sir, I think that I must...
Mr. President,
Yes.
can you see the Undersecretary of State?
Yes, send him in.
Excuse me.
Lauren?
Mr. President?
You know what this says?
Yes, Mr. President.
They don't give me much warning.
Are you going to see them, sir?
I have to. I have to see him alone.
Yes, sir.
Gene, you have to handle the press statement by yourself. You know the note to strike. Guarded optimism.
Yes, sir.
Traffic from Cape Mall in the canal zone, sir. They've been trying to relay our message by radio telephone.
You can't raise a Pedro Alfonso or any other Brazilian trawler. You sure he said our time?
He said he'd be standing by at 1837 kilocycles every night, 20 to 2100 our time.
Might as well secure.
Aye, sir.
Let me see that. What do you think's wrong?
Hard to tell. Maybe the radio's kaput. Or sometimes an inversion layer blacks out an area. Or maybe they ran into some kind of trouble.
Well, that's not very likely in the South Atlantic, is it?
Then again, neither is a Chi-Com submarine and a Soviet cruiser.
Yes, but he's on another line. I'll ask him to call your office.
That's right, Tubo, Lieutenant Commander William R. What do you mean he's been transferred? I was just with him last night. Never mind, thanks anyway. Phyllis, get me Admiral Houghton on the phone. Navy Public Relations, and a cup of coffee in that order.
Admiral Houghton, please. Jean Culligan for the Admiral. Line 3, Mr. Culligan.
Hello, Admiral.
Hello, Mr. Culligan.
I need a little information for the man.
You just said the magic word. What can we run and get you?
I'd like to check on a transfer. Tubo, T-O-U-B-O, William R., Lieutenant Commander.
Where was he stationed?
Synclant Operations Control Center. The man's curious, Admiral. He wants to know where to and why. Make that soon as Gabe.
I'll get right back to you.
Right.
White House press office. Yes, he is. Tom Wicker on 2.
I'll call you back, Tom. You're a little late.
Don't get any wrong ideas.
3 days late.
I just came to
but
pick up
better
some
late than
things
never.
that I left when I left. All right, Culligan.
Oh, no, you would not with Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Well, just keep your distance.
Anything you say, but do me a favor. Go back to work. Oh, come on, I'm going out of my mind around here. I'm swamped with work.
Well, haven't they sent you anyone?
Oh, just some kid from the pool, Phyllis, somebody. Come on back to work, please.
I found a prune Danish. I thought you'd like... Oh, excuse me.
Phyllis, Jill.
Oh, hi.
Hi. You seem to be fitting in beautifully.
Oh, yes. Once I got the hang of your filing system. Oh, very clever. Everything goes under miscellaneous.
Just some kid from the pool, huh?
Oh, come on, Jill. What's the matter with you?
Oh, nothing. I think the two of you will be very happy together.
Oh, I almost forgot. Mr. Pollock to see you.
Yeah, send him in. Just wait a minute.
Mr. Pollock?
What's the trouble with these Cuban hijack deals? I never seem to get the right plane.
Very funny. I'm reporting in as I promised.
You could have given us a couple of hours warning.
Didn't have the chance. Got off the plane, came right here. Tell the man I have arrived.
You mean like drop everything, Mr. President? Dave Pollock's here.
Yeah, just tell him that.
I promise you won't be hurt if he doesn't rearrange his whole schedule.
Just for tell him.
Grace, you let me know when the president can squeeze in Dave Pollock.
They tell me you actually kicked this deal.
Cold turkey.
Well, if you're looking for a job, come see me.
I will.
No, I mean it.
So do I.
Well, let's talk about it over lunch. Just after 1:30, okay?
Marvelous. Culligan, Phyllis, have fun.
Yes, Grace. I see. President will see you right away.
Thank you, my boy.
Mr. Culligan's office. Just a moment, please. Mr. Culligan, Admiral Houghton on 1. Admiral Houghton on line 1.
Culligan. I got that dope from personnel. 2 boats. William R., Lieutenant Commander. He was transferred this morning to a CVA, USS Enterprise. It's tied up at Norfolk.
Any reason for the transfer?
You'd know more about that than I would.
What do you mean?
The order came from the White House.
Gabe, you sure?
Well, it came through Admiral Claypool, President's naval aide. That generally means the man.
I see.
I don't. The way I read our earlier conversation...
Gabe, you say my friends at Norfolk?
If you want to see him, you better get going. They're scheduled to show off in just a few hours.
Thanks. Oh, big man. How's your paper shoot the works?
It, doesn't.
Oh, come on, Dave. You mean you're not going to blow this administration sky high?
That's right.
Why not?
Ask him.
I don't get it, Dave.
Ask the man.
No, I won't.
I'll see you around.
Phyllis, if anyone at this pretzel factory asks for me, I've gone to the Norfolk Navy Yard. Thank you.
Hi there, good buddy.
Bubba, what happened?
It was too fast for the human eye to follow. One minute I was at the C-scope trying to get a readout on that trawler Larry's on. Next thing I know, I'm Shanghai.
Well, where are you going?
Search me. Must be something big. All the extra ordnance they brought on this ship this morning. Well, we're loaded for bear. Hey, you don't think this fast transfer was because I was helping you in Storm the day?
It could be, Bubba. It just could be.
Yeah.
Well, listen, good luck.
Thanks.
See you soon.
Right.
Without the engine trouble, we make it in 5 days like I promised.
Now, what's a barren rock like that doing in the South Atlantic?
Or to make the sailor's life more difficult.
You say there's a village?
See? Other side. It's very old. Strange customs. Not changed much 200 years.
How soon can I get ashore?
Well, soon we anchor offshore. Then when the surf go down, boat from the island come for you.
And when will that be?
Tomorrow, maybe.
No, I can't wait until tomorrow.
Each year, Tristan has many drownings. No islander will put out in a boat in this surf.
Good morning, Senator. Morning. Oh, Ted! What can I do for you?
I understood you wanted to see me.
Oh, I must apologize. I'm afraid Mrs. Erdlat misplaced the last remark. I told her I was anxious to find a colleague of yours, Dave Pollock. You seen him lately?
Oh, not for a week or so.
That's a pity. He's pretty good at sniffing out things.
What sort of thing, Senator?
I've run into a bit of information that troubles me greatly. If it's true, of course. I can't get anything on it from the Armed Services Committee. They seem to have clammed up totally.
On what?
I'm talking about a carrier task force that just left Norfolk under sealed order. Now, the rumor I got, and I repeat, it's just a rumor, is they're down there in the South Atlantic under Paul Raudebush's orders and under battle conditions. You might just check that out. Oh, George, excuse me.
Levante. Ancora. Levante. Ancora.
We'll try again, further up the coast, huh?
Loco Americano.
You don't have to tell me how hard it is to get trained personnel.
Yes. I know you're pushed. Well, we're all pushed. All right, then put on another group of people. I'll have to get back to you. Bye. No luck?
Been trying for over an hour. No answer.
Well, I checked through all the South Atlantic traffic for the past week. There were no calls either to or from a trawler named Pedro Alfonso. Maybe the ship's radio went out. That happens, you know.
I wish I knew what was going on out there.
Listen, Jerry, you think maybe Larry changed his plans and decided not to go to Tristan da Cunha?
Maybe. But something sure as hell is happening on that island.
How do you know?
It looks like we're breaking the flower code.
What?
The Chinese diplomatic code was changed a few weeks ago. It's keyed on flower names. Chrysanthemum, daisy, hibiscus. It's the toughest code the Chinese have devised in a long, long time.
What are they saying about Tristan?
I'm not sure yet. We should be getting somewhere momentarily.
Listen, Jerry, I'm sorry to have imposed on you this way. It's just that, I didn't know what else to try.
You did right, Gene. If we can't raise him, nobody can.
Yeah. That's what bothers me.
Jill? Jill! Jill!
That makes everything just fine, am I?
Will you listen to me?
Will you stop chasing after me?
I'm not chasing after you.
Oh, you can fool me
for Dave Pollock.
Oh, go right ahead. Don't let me keep you.
Listen to me a minute. He's gone.
Gone.
Scotch and water and vodka on runs, please. No one's seen him for a week. Unless you know where he is, he's missing. You're the last one who saw him as far as I can find out.
Me?
Well, at the office, you made a date to meet up for lunch. 1:30.
Except that I got stood up.
Mean he didn't show?
That's right. The last time I saw Dave Pollock was when he was going in for an exclusive interview with his nibs, which is pretty peculiar, come to think.
Jill.
Come on, what? I mean, why was the president so anxious to see Dave Pollock?
I don't know.
Look, I did 3 years in the White House press office. Are you really trying to tell me you don't know what the president
Pollock
wants?
was popping up about some kind of information.
And the president didn't want it printed, is that
I
it?
don't know what the president wanted or didn't want.
Okay, Dave Pollock is missing. That much we know, right?
Would you like a PA system? I'm sure.
Okay. Dave Pollock was around. Then he goes in to see your buddy Rowdybush. And he's not around anymore, right?
Jill. What are you trying to tell me? That the President of the United States has taken dispiriting newspapermen off into the night? Now, that's a bit paranoid, isn't it?
Well, I think it's about time for a little positive paranoia. Well, I'm sorry, I can't cope with all this blind loyalty. Right. What does Larry Storm say?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him.
What's wrong? Something wrong with Larry? Jean?
He was supposed to be on this ship, and I haven't been able to get in touch with him.
So what you're saying is that Larry Storm is missing, too?
Larry is not missing.
If he's not missing, where is he? I mean, where is he?
I don't know. Just don't get yourself upset.
Upset? First there was, Greer, Kisich, Lubin, Dave Pollock, and now Larry Storm. Let me ask you a question, Mr. Gene Culligan. How many people are going to have to disappear before you face up to the fact that something's rotten in this city?
Senator Gannon, sir.
Good evening, Arthur. Nice of you to see me.
May I fix you a drink, Senator?
I might have a bit of bourbon and branch to ease my throat. No word from Rowdybush yet?
Not a word. I'm at a loss to explain it.
Oh, I think it's plain enough. If he were to face you with Butter Nygaard's activities, he'd be forced to fire you. You're too popular with the Congress and with the people.
The silence does not fit his character.
At this stage of the campaign, Rowdybush can't afford the risk.
How do you read the campaign thus far, Senator?
If the election were tonight, we'd have a new president. We want to keep the pressure on. The knockout punch. That's why Wednesday's so important to us.
Governor Walcott's speech.
Coast to coast, all 3 networks. It's got to have impact. Dramatic impact. It's got to knock their hats off, Arthur. Which leaves things pretty much up to you and your people in Brazil.
That's my trouble, Earl. I have no new hard information from my people in Brazil. Greer and Lubin seem to have gone up in smoke.
You've got no leads at all?
Several, but that's all they are. Just leads, nothing substantial.
I can't tell you how disappointed I am, Arthur. The speech of Stanley's could tip the balance either way.
What can I say, Senator?
Problem is, I've been letting it get around that Stanley's going to give the American people the truth behind Greer's disappearance.
I worked out several hypotheses.
No. Facts. What we need are facts, Arthur.
Facts? And how am I supposed to come by these facts when the agency has been systematically excluded from the investigation?
Yeah. Matty and I talked about the possibility of finding ourselves in this kind of a fix. We agreed that, in this case, there's only one weapon we can use. You're going to have to supply it.
Me? Supply what?
The dramatic impact. The blockbuster.
Matt and I lined up a few possibilities. Stanley will announce, with your assent, of course, that you submitted your resignation to Paul Rodebush just a few hours before Stanley appeared before the television cameras.
My resignation?
The blockbuster, Arthur.
Are you seriously suggesting that I resign my position?
Are you seriously suggesting you have any option? As a man of honor, you can do no less, Arthur, and you know it.
I had not considered such an extreme move.
Politically, of course, your resignation could be just the one event to put Wolcott over the top. I don't have to tell you, you're standing with Congress, with the men who mold the news in this city, yes, and with the public. I'm not appealing to vanity when I say that no other resignation in the Rodebush administration would have the shock value of yours. Frankly, Arthur, it would be a sensation. You have our word that upon Stanley Wolcott's election, you'll be returned to your job here. Needless to add, if Rodebush is re-elected, well, I'd say he'll probably fire you within days.
Give me until tomorrow to think it over. This is quite sudden, Earl.
I'm to call Matty with your answer by midnight. If you say no, we'll have to make other arrangements. We might feel compelled to tell the nation the source of some of our information. You and I know who that source is. There isn't time, Arthur.
Till tomorrow morning.
Nothing will be different in the morning.
There might be. Jerry Freitag's people, the cryptanalysts at NSA, have been working on the new Chi-Com diplomatic code. They're close, Senator. Very close. If they crack it, you'll have your blockbuster. Till tomorrow morning.
All right, Arthur. I'm not an unreasonable man. Till tomorrow morning.
Yes? I'm calling about the Chinese flowers. Any progress?
It looks very promising.
That's exactly what you said last night.
The key is in the lock. All it needs is a turn.
Are you talking about a matter of hours?
Could be.
Whenever you make your breakthrough, whatever time, I want to be called immediately.
Have you ever read the National Security Act?
Read it. Say it every night before I go to bed. Like a prayer.
Including the part that says that I'm required by law to report all findings directly to Arthur Ingram. And if I don't, they can throw me in the sneezer life forever.
That's one of my favorite parts.
Well, that was Arthur. And I didn't tell him we cracked the code.
Why not?
I'm not exactly sure.
Well, it'll take a couple of days more to decrypt all the traffic. But I've pulled out 19 messages, all of which seem to deal directly with Tristan da Cunha.
And?
Your hunch was right. It's a code within a code. Dealing with something called Operation Omega. To tower from Angel. Mercury arrived safely. Alpha smooth. Request Mercury to leave by barge. Plan unsure. Rock. I think Rock is Tristan da Cunha. I'm getting an idea who Tower is.
President Rodebush?
Himself.
Come in.
You said you wanted all intercepted traffic from the Enterprise.
What do you got?
Looks like routine. ETA Point Alpha, 0600. Charlie?
Point Alpha, sir.
Very well, round up the exec and come to my cabin. Let's find out what this big mystery's all about.
Yes, sir.
Come on, gentlemen, have a seat. Captain Harry A. Coolidge, U.S. Navy, to be open upon arrival at Point Alpha.
Read out loud, Fife. There's no ban on briefing my staff.
From Chief of Naval Operations to Commanding Officer, USS Enterprise, CVAN 65. Subject operations. 1. By separate correspondence, you have received orders to proceed at best speed to Point Alpha. 2. If you have received duly authenticated orders to the contrary prior to arriving at Point Alpha, destroy this order. Otherwise, you will...
Captain speaking.
Screen Commander reports possible submarine contact. He's detached Taney to investigate.
Very well. Tell him to expedite. We have a report on possible submarine activity.
Submarine?
Probably just making itself obnoxious. Go on, Fife.
Otherwise, you will proceed to Point Bravo, a point 30 miles due north of the island of Tristan da Cunha. You will...
Captain's on the bridge.
The Taney reports positive submarine contact. It's closing on us and is assumed hostile.
Very well. Commence evasive steering.
Aye, sir. Helmsman, commence evasive steering. All engines ahead flank. Base course 176.
Did breaking the Chinese code reveal anything else of significance?
We're programming our computer with new instructions right now. The printout should tell us by this evening.
Uh-huh. What's your normal procedure when you break a code?
Well, our cryptanalysts at NSA are merely burglars. They break and enter codes. The decrypted traffic would ordinarily be delivered to Arthur Ingram as head of the intelligence community. That's first.
I see. And what then?
After the CIA's preliminary evaluation, then copies would be sent out to the various interested intelligence units.
But instead, you brought it directly to me.
Yes, sir.
Why?
In view of the startling nature of a group of messages to and from Tristan da Cunha, I thought I'd better short-circuit the usual channels and come straight to you.
Thank you. And don't you shrug away an act of faith. They're not all that common these days. I want all Tristan messages and the entire Chinese file held at NSA until further instructions from me.
I'll hold all traffic in top classification until I hear from Tower.
But what about Mountain and Flag? Have you got...
It's Admiral Fairclough. Most urgent. On to.
Admiral, I was just briefing Jerry Freitag on Operation Omega.
Oh, there just may not be an Operation Omega, Mr. President.
What?
Somebody tried to put a torpedo into the Enterprise.
Well, are you sure there's no error, Admiral?
The attack occurred at Point Alpha. 2 misses. Harry Coolidge said the second one almost shaved his stern.
Any idea who it was?
Well, according to OPCON, there's only one submarine within 1,000 miles of there. Chi-Com, atomic powered. The Ho Ping Hao.
All right, stand by, Admiral. I'll get back to you. Jerry, I'm afraid you're going to have to excuse me. Thank you very much. Grace?
Yes, sir.
I want to speak to Premier Wang Kuo on the emergency line. We'll speak in Chinese, so get Ned Lee in here as fast as you can. And the Russian and Chinese observers.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. 请问主席，反对开会的是哪些人？
Come in, come in. Sit down, please.
是的，请您等一下。The Premier says an embarrassing situation has arisen in the People's Republic. The Defense Minister, General Feng, is opposed to the Tristan meetings. He says the general has very few followers, but they are extremely fanatical.
Ask him if the submarine is friend or fanatic.
Yes, sir. 请问主席，和平号潜水艇是属于哪一派的？是的。The Premier is afraid that the captain of the Ho Ping Hao is fanatic.
Ask if the sub is carrying atomic weapons.
Yes, sir. 请问主席，和平号有没有原子弹装备？是的。是的。我明白您的意思。Regretfully, yes.
Gentlemen, we're going to have to get those people off that island.
Primary, get that plane off the flight deck. Welcome aboard, Admiral.
Harry, taking over command, Admiral? Well, who are you?
Pollock. Dave Pollock, civilian. No serial number. Reporter came aboard with a special letter from the President. Free access to all phases of Operation Amiga.
Captain, message from the Dzerzhinsky. Sonar contact. Submarine on a course for Tristan.
So far, Mr. President, 4-0. The evacuation teams have left the carrier.
Keep me posted.
Yes, sir. They should be approaching the island right now.
No sign of that sub?
No, sir. The Dzerzhinsky reported a broken contact. Nothing since.
Providing everything goes all right, what's the soonest you can get the whole party up here?
Tomorrow noon.
Fine, Jack. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.
Periscope breaking water, 2 o'clock.
Got us a fix. Bobcat, this is Green Cub 1. We have a submarine here.
Very well. Excuse me, Admiral. Captain, we have a message from Green Cub 1. They've made visual contact with the submarine.
Very well. Prescott, call Tristan in the clear. Tell him the evacuation will take place no matter what else happens. And tell them to get in gear.
Aye, sir. Launch attack aircraft.
Cat. Submarine disabled. Small boy taking over.
Ray said you wanted to see me, Mr. President.
Yes, Gene, sit down. I wanted you in here because our friend from across the river will be here in a minute.
Arthur Ingram?
Yeah. I tried to put him off, but he was especially insistent. I'd like you to listen to the conversation. Write up a memo. No notes, just the old memory.
Mr. Ingram, sir.
Hello, Arthur.
Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Have a chair.
I would prefer to speak to you in private, Mr. President.
Oh, don't mind Gene. He's become my liaison man, as it were, on policy concerning the agency.
This is a personal matter.
Nothing to do with the agency?
The agency is involved, of course, but I regard my call as essentially a matter between you and me.
I think it best that Gene stay.
Yes, sir. I'm here, Mr. President, to tender my resignation.
I see. As of when?
Wednesday. I put it in writing.
Arthur, I could spend an hour giving you reasons why I should accept your resignation on the spot. However, I do not accept it at this time.
Whether or not you go through the formality of accepting or rejecting it makes no difference. With your permission.
Wait a minute, Arthur. If you announce your resignation tomorrow, you'll be making a fool of yourself before the whole country.
We'll let the public draw its own conclusions as to whether I'm a fool or not.
You've completely misjudged the nature of the Greer case. But you can't be technically blamed. I wanted to keep you fully informed. But when I learned about the Spruance Foundation and the young physicist, I changed my mind. But even after that, I intended honoring your office by telling you about the Greer case. But then I found out that for more than 2 years, you've been monitoring my office via Butter Nygaard. That stopped me.
Further talk will be pointless.
Arthur, in all fairness, I've got to tell you this. Arnold Greer, from the outset, has been operating with my consent and knowledge on a mission vital to the United States and to the whole world. Arthur, if you announce your resignation, in my opinion, you'll be making a tragic personal mistake.
And I think you're wrong. I believe you'll be making a mistake. And when the people learn that vital information was denied us when you shut down the Spruance project...
I'm telling you, Arthur, you'll make yourself out an idiot.
Shall we leave it to the future to decide, then?
All right, Arthur. I'm sorry. I really am.
May I leave now?
Of course. I want that conversation written up right away, Gene. Have you got time before the press conference?
Yes, sir.
Air Force One has just landed at Andrews, sir. The Marine helicopters are taking passengers aboard. And Jill Nichols is on her way, and Sue Greer is here with Gretchen.
All right, send them in. Hello, Sue.
Hello, Mr. President.
Hello, Gretchen. Culligan show you the press release?
But it's something about Operation Omega.
Well, you'll find out about it at the press conference. But first, I wanted to apologize to both of you, personally.
Please don't, Mr. President.
I'm so sorry and so ashamed for the way I behaved at the hospital.
Gretchen, I wish I could have told you. But your father's mission was so delicate, the slightest leak could have wrecked it.
Since early morning, when news of the arrival of this helicopter and the subsequent unscheduled press conference was first announced, rumor and speculation have been in oversupply in this city. Here are President Raudebush and his party awaiting the arrival. As soon as that copter hatch opens, all the rumors, the speculation, the guessing as to who is aboard will finally be laid to rest. The hatch is open. It's Arnold Greer. That's Mrs. Sue Greer and their daughter Gretchen. There's Dr. Philip Lubin, and directly behind him, Dr. Felix Kisich, this nation's leading nuclear scientist. The president is greeting the party warmly. And now they're moving, surrounded by Secret Service men, to the press briefing room, where the president will brief the press and the nation on one of the most tightly kept secrets in this country's history.
Mr. Ingram is calling on line 1.
How are you, Mr. Director?
How am I? Do you have any idea what's going on at the White House right now?
Got it on the tube, Arthur. Lovely, living color.
Well, what are we going to do?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is cancel $300,000 worth of television time. And then, speaking strictly for myself, I'm planning on getting drunk.
What?
Change that to read extremely drunk.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, my fellow Americans, and those of you around the world watching on television, I come to you today with a message of hope for all of us. That message is a treaty called the Treaty of Tristan da Cunha. It's only a beginning, but what a beginning. Not a utopian dream, but the beginning of a hard-headed, possible, practical agreement to outlaw atomic weaponry throughout the world. Operation Omega began for me more than 2 years ago when my friend Arnold Greer came to me with an idea he developed with 2 scientists, Kisich of Princeton, Lubin of Georgetown. Their idea was simply this: In view of the fact that the world can no longer live under the threat of atomic holocaust, and in view of the further fact that the governments of the world can't seem to agree on a satisfactory formula to outlaw atomic weapons, they felt that the atomic scientists of the international community, the chemists, physicists, engineers, mathematicians who build the bombs, could form an organization dedicated to forcing the abolition of nuclear weapons. They believed, and I agreed with them, that the sheer prestige of such a group of men might prod our statesmen into action. Dr. Felix Kissick was the prime mover. He spoke first with his fellow Nobel Prize laureates, and then later with many men and women in wider circles of atomic research. Generally at international scientific conferences, always in strict confidence, until finally, a majority of the world's atomic scientists were a part of Operation Omega. The Red Chinese posed the greatest problems. Due to internal conditions, they insisted on total secrecy. But through the good offices of Dr. Su Lin, a final agreement was hammered out at a meeting in Tirana, Albania. A meeting set up ostensibly to present an award to Dr. Philip Lubin. Now, incidentally, Dr. Lubin, who speaks Chinese, did double duty. He not only helped form Operation Omega, but he gave up his Wednesday nights for a year and a half to tutor my special representative, Arnold Greer, in the Chinese language. Now, next, a meeting was set up between the leading atomic scientists of all the nuclear powers. Great Britain provided the site, the island of Tristan da Cunha. The Chinese and the Russians provided transportation. And right at the outset, we had trouble. A sailor from the Chinese submarine that was to pick up Lubin and Greer from Sea Island was washed overboard. And consequently, too much attention was caused at that area. So for a moment, we thought that the whole meeting might have to be called off. But a substitute plan was hastily devised. And like most substitute plans, it caused almost more problems than it solved. But the meeting was held for almost 4 weeks on the island of Tristan da Cunha. These renowned scientists labored to overcome their own suspicions, doubts, and fears. And fortunately for us, their labors proved successful. They had devised a formula for world survival. That formula was a plain and simple treaty banning the manufacture and stockpiling of all atomic weapons, combined with a threat, a worldwide strike for peace among the atomic professionals. The scientists of the world have given us, governments of the world, 6 months to find a way to live together. If we can't, every atomic research facility in the world will be closed down. Now that, my friends, is my message of hope. The Treaty of Tristan da Cunha. Now, before I go to submit this treaty to the Senate, I'd like to apologize to those members of my official family who were not taken into my confidence. The information had to be restricted to a handful of people, the absolute irreducible minimum. And even then, on a strictly need-to-know basis. My apologies. Now, let me repeat, this is only a beginning. The beginning of the end of these grotesque arsenals. We cannot and must not help ignite the firestorm that will consume this earth. Before I go, I would like to ask every one of you watching and listening today in whatever part of the world to search your minds, your hearts, and your souls. And then please join the noblest of all crusades, the preservation of the human race. Thank you.